Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. You were talking about getting how to refinance, or should I say finance the budget now. And many will ask the question that perhaps if we own the oil and we produce the oil, why can't we set the prices?
Well, thank you very much, Gimba. First and foremost, we are part of a global community of oil producers. So it then means that in a free market, there are some dynamics to price fixing. But what is critical is even bring the conversation back home. Budget 2018 is predicated on 2.3 million barrels a day. To what extent does government have clarity over the production of oil? What is our actual production of oil on a daily basis, right? We are in partnership with international oil companies, and they have the technical expertise. So they are the ones essentially driving the process. So the Nigerian government, from my understanding, is limited in terms of its control over that sector. So how do you determine how many barrels of oil are actually produced? So we have very little control over production, and it does not help that there are these recurring tensions in the Niger Delta, which may ultimately impact on the expectation of a 2.3. Now, with regard to pricing, like I said, it is the interplay of forces all over the world. So there is some tension in Saudi Arabia, in Iran and Yemen, and suddenly oil prices have moved up from about $56 to about $62. So prices largely out of our control, but production quantity is within our control. So government needs to rise up to its responsibility and ensure that it does not outsource almost wholesale that aspect of production and accounting for the production to the IOCs.
That in effect will save the 2018 budget, for instance, and other budgets in the future.
Absolutely.
Let's look at what we have, the sectoral allocations. Power, Works and Housing having the highest allocation, 555.88. What do you make of that?
Well, it is not surprising. Power remains a major enabler of the Nigerian economy. So unless and until we get power right, our economy will continue to struggle. So I am not surprised that there is a provision of 555. I suspect that when we get the breakdown, we will see that maybe 40 to 50% of this amount will go to the power sector itself. But there is a question there.
Do you see power improving with the 2018 budget?
You know, my view, Gimba, is this. There is a big elephant in the room that government is yet to address. And the thing is, what is required to turn around our power sector is hundreds, tens, possibly hundreds of billions of dollars, right? Even if we allocate all of this 555 billion to just the power sector alone, it still will not turn around our transmission infrastructure. It still will not turn around our distribution infrastructure. Yes, the sector has been privatized. Some elements of the sector has been privatized, but there is still a challenge, and that challenge is we do not yet have cost-reflective tariffs. Now, until private sector investors can come into the power sector, risk their capital, and see clarity in terms of how they can recover their investment and make a profit. And that can only be driven by cost-reflective tariffs. But it is a political issue. We're in the run-up to a general election. Will the federal government have the political will to increase tariffs? That is a requirement. And my recommendation is the government should bite the bullet and do what it has to do. In the short term, it may spike inflation, but in the medium to long term, Nigeria and Nigerians will be better for it. Because until we solve the issues of tariffs, the issues of sanctity of contracts within that power sector, we will not get the funding we require, because government cannot fund it alone.
Agriculture, of course, the government, this particular government is have been hammering on diversifying the economy and looking at agriculture as the next cash cow. Agriculture is having 118.98 billion naira. How much of this do you think in this appropriation will work to help diversify, just so that it remains one of the components that keeps us out of recession?
Correct.
Because this is very delicate. If you have the Niger Delta agitations come to fruition, that means the prices of oil will be affected, and that automatically affects the budget. Agriculture also, if you don't have those mechanisms and the structure put right, you may have that situation whereby we may fall back into recession.
I agree with you. I believe that agriculture is probably one of the areas where this particular government has made significant progress. The budget of 118, almost 119 billion, if memory serves me right, this is probably the highest budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Agriculture in recent times. So it means that there is, or government is following through on its support for this area. Beyond that, I know that there are significant funding solutions, intervention funds from the CBN, from the Bank of Agric, from the Bank of Industry, all targeted at the agricultural space. And we're starting to see production, primary production improve. What we need to see a lot more of now is investment in processing for value addition and greater revenues, investment in exports of certain critical value-added crops. So my sense is this is a good move, and I want the government to really focus on expanding our agricultural base, because this is what will drive industrialization, because most of our inputs can be sourced locally. So we can save significant sums of foreign exchange if we have a vibrant agricultural sector. And I believe we are moving in that direction.
And getting the agricultural outputs out of the locations to where they are needed, the consumption points, will require transportation, and they are getting 263.10 billion naira. What's the meaning of this?
Well, this is very good. A lot of the challenges within the agricultural space center around how to move agricultural produce from the farms to the processing centers or to the markets. So if we have an integrated transportation system, largely driven by rail, my sense is we can carry a lot more. We can ultimately improve the farmers' economies because they have a ready market, or they have access to a ready market. My sense again is, government is limited in terms of funding. So the only way you can get to achieve a lot of the turnaround we're looking for in the infrastructural space is to invite private sector participation. So General Electric is here trying to do something in the railway space. My sense is that government needs to expand on this. Government needs to have a clear blueprint around public-private partnerships. So whether it's going to be an office sitting wherever it is, there must be a well-articulated plan to say, look, private sector that want to partner with government, come in and let us work together. The Ministry of Works, Power and Housing is doing something in that regard as far as roads are concerned. So you are hearing, come and fix a road for me, and there may be tax credits for you. Those are the kind of innovative solutions that government must come up with to bring and encourage private sector funding, because the money is available within the private sector. They just need the assurance that government will abide by whatever contract and deliver on their own terms.
Bayorochimi, we want to thank you so much indeed, a financial analyst, for talking to us on the 2018 budget and what it means for just about everyone. Sunrise Daily will be back in just a moment. Stay with us.